In this video, you are going to learn how to solve a numerical inequality, then graph the solution on the number line. This just means whatever solution you get, you are going to represent that solution on the number line to the left of the screen. In the previous video, you learned how to write and solve an inequality given a worded problem, right? But in this example, you are already given the inequality. You just need to solve it. So let's look at example A. So it says negative 85.4 is less than or equal to 32.4x. This is x right here. Plus 18.28. As we said earlier, solving a two-step inequality is similar to solving a two-step equation. Start by getting rid of the constant first. So we use inverse operation. So the constant here is 18.28. To get rid of the constant or eliminate the constant, we are going to subtract because we have a positive or a plus 18.28. So you do the opposite of plus, which is subtraction, to get rid of it. So it's going to be minus 18.28. Remember now, whatever you do on the right of the inequality, do the same thing to the left, and whatever you do to the left, you do the same thing to the right. It depends on which side your variable is on. 18.28. So this cancels out. This is going to be 0. So on my right hand side, I am going to have 32.4x. And on my left, I'm going to have negative 85.4 minus 18.28, which is negative 103.68. Now, I'm going to get rid of this 32.4 because I need my variable, my x by itself. So I divide by the same number. Divided by 32.4. If I do that to the right, I do the same thing to the left. I divide over here by 32.4. So this in the numerator here cancels what is there in the denominator. So on my right hand side, I have x by itself on the right. And when I divide negative 103.68 by 32.4, I get negative 33.2, sorry. So this is saying x is greater than. Once you have the opening of the symbol to the variable, that means greater than. If you have the closing part of the symbol to the variable, that means less than. So this reads, x is greater than or equals to negative 3.2. This is just saying x is equal to 3.2, which is negative 3.2 is a solution, or all the numbers greater than negative 3.2 are also a solution for x. This here is our solution. We are going to represent this on the number line. How do we do that? So we look at our number line. If our number line is not labeled, we are going to label it based on the solution that we have there. But this is already labeled for us. So we are going to find or locate negative 3.2 on the number line. So this here is negative 3. Remember, on a number line, the values to the left of 0 are negative and the values to the right of 0 are positive. So here we have our negative 3, but remember we have negative 3.2. So this increment here is going to be negative 3.1, and this one is going to be negative 3.2. So once you locate your points, your value, you draw an open circle to say that that is where negative 3.2 is. But remember now, it says the value of x is greater than or equal to negative 3.2. So you are going to draw an arrow, because remember we just said going to the right, the numbers are greater. Going to the right, the closer you go to 0, the value of the numbers on the number line increase. And the more you go to the left of 0, going to the left, the further you go to the left, the value of the numbers decreases. We draw our arrow to the right to show that these numbers going to the right are greater than negative 3.2. But once you have this line underneath the symbol, it means that 3.2 is a part of the solution. It means equal to. To represent that on the number line, we shade the open circle. This line here is saying that x is greater than or equal to. This means negative 3.2 is a part of the solution, and all the values greater than negative 3.2 is also a part of the solution. And that is how you solve and graph an inequality. Let us look at part B. Let me just rewrite it here. Negative 3 less than or equals to negative 1/2 times the sum of x and 11. So now we have written our inequality. I'm going to go ahead and solve it. Once you have a parentheses, you start by getting rid of the parentheses first. So I am going to multiply my negative 1/2 times each term inside the parentheses. So remember now, if you look inside, we don't have any like terms, so we can't combine. So we have to use the distributive property to get rid of the parentheses. So we are going to see now negative 1/2 times x is going to be negative 1/2 x. Negative 1/2 times positive 11 or plus 11 is going to be negative or minus 11 over 2. Now that we get rid of our parentheses, let me just write back my negative 3 to the left. Now we are going to go ahead and solve by getting rid of the constant. So here the constant is minus 11 over 2. To get rid of it, we add 11 over 2. We need to make this 0. If we add 11 over 2 to the right, we do the same thing to the left. So we add 11 over 2 to the left. So this here is going to be 0. I am going to be left back with, let me just use a different color, negative 1/2 x on the right. Now, to my left, if I add negative 3 plus 11 over 2, I'm going to get positive 2 1/2. So now I'm down to a one step. To solve for x, get x by itself, I divide by the number in front of x. So I am going to divide here by negative 1/2 because I need to get rid of the 1/2, the negative 1/2. So if I do that to the right, I do the same thing to the left. Again, the steps is very similar to solving an equation, all right? This 1/2, negative 1/2 cancels this negative 1/2. I am left back with x on the left, the right-hand side. So remember now, as we said earlier in our first video, when you are multiplying and dividing, when solving an inequality and you are multiplying or dividing by a negative coefficient, we have to flip the inequality symbol. So here it was greater than or equal to. Now it's going to become less than or equal to. Once you flip it, now we are going to go ahead and divide our left-hand side. 2 1/2 divided by negative 1/2. So it's going to be 2. Answer is going to be negative 5. This is saying this is our solution. How do we get negative 5? When I divide a positive by a negative, you're going to get a negative. So our solution is x is less than or equals to negative 5. Remember we said that when you have the close point facing the variable, it is read as less than. in example A, when you have the opening of the inequality symbol to the x, it is read as greater than. This is saying x is either equal to -5 or greater. So it is all the values less than -5, sorry. So x is either less than -5 or greater than -5. So x can be all the values, any value less than -5, and it can also be -5. That is what it means. To graph this now, we locate -5 on our number line. So -5 is right here. So remember we said x is less than. So we are going to draw our arrow to the left because all of these numbers to the left of the of 0 are less than, all right? So remember, we are representing x is less than or equals to -5. So once you locate your point on the number line, you don't have to draw it this big, right? You are going to draw your arrow to the left of that value to show that all these numbers to the left are less than -5. This arrow means that it continues because you cannot represent all the numbers on this number line, all right? So x can be -11, -12, -30, -100, -150, -1,000, -1,000,000, all right? But we just draw our arrow because this line means that this arrow means it continues. So now we are going to shade the circle because remember we said that we shade the circle when we have the equal to line under the symbol here. Because again, this is saying x is either -5 or less than -5. So -5 is a part of the solution. What this is saying, if you should substitute this -5 in this inequality, it will satisfy the inequality. If you should substitute a number less than -5, for example, -6, -7, or -8, it will also satisfy the inequality. This is how you solve a two-step inequality. And we talk about that one difference in solving a two-step inequality versus solving a two-step equation. Only difference is when you're using the inverse operation, right? And you have a negative coefficient and you multiply or divide by that negative coefficient, you will have to flip the inequality symbol. As it relates to graphing the inequality, you shade the open circle when you have a line under the inequality symbol. If you just have the symbol with a less than, a greater than, right? You leave the circle open because that is saying that value is not a part of the solution. The variable is either greater than it or less than it, but that value is not a part of the solution. Once you have the line underneath the symbol, it means that that value for the variable that you are finding is a part of the solution. So you have to know when to leave it open and when to shade it.